Hello, my name is Susan Piver. I'm a writer and longtime practitioner and teacher of Buddhism. I've come to see that many people think of Buddhism and meditation practices associated with it, like mindfulness, as ways to reduce stress. But I would like to tell you that the Buddhist path is far more rich than that. It is a way to wake up, to become liberated from suffering. And forget about enlightenment, it's also a way to live your everyday life more fully and meaningfully. This podcast is to share with you classical Buddhist teachings that I have found enormously beneficial, and also to tell stories from my own life about how I applied and misapplied these teachings. And I do want to tell you from my more than 30 years of experience that the Dharma is real and it provides an extraordinarily nuanced, profound, and pragmatic guidebook to living a life of wisdom, compassion, and courage.
This week, our topic is right effort, the sixth step on the Noble Eightfold Path. In previous episodes, we talked about right view, which means, in some sense, seeing beyond your projections. Next is right intention, when you see beyond your projections. What you intend to do, say, or not do, not say, is connected to a proper view of reality. And these first two, right view and right intention, create the ground for the remaining steps on the Eightfold Path to arise. And the next one is right speech. Followed by right livelihood. And our last episode was about right action. And these three, speech, livelihood, and action, have to do with how we extend our energy out into the world. And now we come to, as mentioned, step 6, right effort. And the following and final two steps on the Eightfold Path, right mindfulness and right samadhi or meditative absorption, speak to the way we craft our inner life and hold our minds through the various things we experience. So we'll start, as mentioned, with right effort. And we'll look at right effort through three lenses: a foundational lens, a relational lens, and a transformational lens. But let me begin by saying right effort does not mean trying. It does not mean trying harder. It does not mean pushing yourself. Right effort begins with some kind of commitment to never giving up. That can be hard to do, especially in the current climate. There are many things that one might feel discouraged about or even hopeless. And right effort, of course, does not mean becoming right Pollyanna or pretending that things are okay when they aren't. So let me give you an example from my personal life when I was a kid, maybe 13 or 14, well before I became a Buddhist practitioner. And I was just remembering this, so this incident is fresh in my mind. Like many people, perhaps even you, I felt from Jump Street, from my first memory, that I did not belong where I had been born. I have no idea why, but I have so many memories of feeling like I didn't fit in, like nothing I said made sense to anyone else, like the things I wanted to do or preferred were weird. And as time went by, as I became a teenager, as teenagers do, I became very depressed because you don't know when you're a kid that your preferences are simply personal. You think, if no one gets my preferences, then my preferences might be wrong. So the memory I want to share with you is one evening, I was in my room, my childhood bedroom. And again, I was probably about 14. And I was desperate to meet and resolve this profound feeling of displacement. And I even thought from time to time in my young life, maybe I should just give up. Maybe I should just be like everyone says I'm supposed to be. Maybe it would be better if I ignored my own intuitions, although I, of course, never said it this way to myself back then, and just, got in line. And as I was contemplating this and again journaling about it, I found that I was writing, don't give up. Keep going. I will never leave you. I didn't know where that was coming from. I still don't. I will not allow you to be extinguished. Those were the words I wrote to myself in my little room. And I remember feeling very relieved. And I knew it was me talking to myself. I didn't have some sense of otherworldliness to any degree. But I remember that moment. I remember it very clearly. This exhortation to stay the course, stay who you are. Don't give up on yourself. Become yourself. So that's one example of what is meant by right effort. You don't give up on yourself, ever. So please remember that in your dark moment. Through our first lens, the foundational lens, right effort has something to do with organizing your life to support your path, your longings, your journey. And it begins with the way you organize your day so that what is really important to you takes priority. This gives a lot of energy. And I posit that having a daily routine, I hesitate to use that word because I personally am very bad at routines, but organizing your life intentionally to support your journey. So do you have a place, like a literal place in your home or in your room where you feel content, where you feel held? And do you spend time in that place or otherwise doing what's important to you, doing creative work, connecting with people you love, working to help the world, allowing yourself to rest? Do you have a way of making effort toward yourself? You have inspiration to work with yourself, to discover who you are, to express who you are. And when your everyday life is built around such things, to whatever degree makes sense to you, when you wake up in the morning and think, well, okay, time to start this day, there's some sense of natural vitality because you have centered what is important to you. And of course, there are times when that is more difficult, but still, you have some sense. I'm going to come back to you, myself. I'm not going too far away. I will not allow you to be extinguished. That's how I said it to myself way long ago. The more we do such things, the more we spend time doing what's important to us, practice creativity, loving other people, whatever it might be, the more energy we have for continuing to do such things. So think about the foundation of your day. And again, I am really not very good at this myself, so I'm not trying to say, oh, I got this all figured out, just do what I'm doing. But spend time in the evening thinking about the next day. What's important to me? What will give me a sense of ease? What do I feel responsible for doing? And then in the morning, remember those things and do your best to live that day in light of your true priorities. It can be very easy to become disheartened. There's a lot to handle. I'm sure you have a lot of responsibilities and things that are going well and things that are going poorly. And okay, me too. But in the Buddhist view, becoming disheartened is considered a form of laziness, interestingly. There are three kinds of laziness in the tantric view. First, regular, you just blow it off, you don't feel like doing it. Second form of laziness is called being too busy, which means you let the wrong priorities take up all your energy and your life force. And so it's considered lazy because you've let your true priorities fall to the bottom of the list. And the third form is being disheartened. And why is that considered a form of laziness? Because there are all sorts of reasons one can imagine feeling quite disheartened right now. It's because you have spent too much time allowing your mind to become absorbed in what we might call unwholesome or insane or painful areas over which you have no control. Of course, we have to pay attention to the difficulties of this world. But when we allow our attention to be co-opted by sources that have no interest in our well-being, when we give up that agency over our own inner world, we become overwhelmed, and it's easy to fall into a sorrow stupor of some kind. So the laziness here is you have let your mind be absorbed and you have relinquished agency. So we want to not relinquish agency or recover it in the times where it slips. And of course, meditation practice is the cultivation of agency. We place our mind on an object, in the case of most practices, the breath, and then when it strays, you bring it back to the breath. Not so that you can become a great breath follower, but so that when you want to pay attention to the things that are important to you, whatever they may be, it's completely up to you. And you notice that your mind has strayed into doom scrolling or doom raging or some kind of stupefaction, that you see that and you can let go and you come back to what is important to you. That's one way of describing the potency of a meditation practice. You learn how to place your mind on what you would like to place it on. And then when it strays, because it does, you know how to come back. And when it comes to right effort and the cultivation of an inner world that protects and amplifies your vitality, this is a good kind of know-how to have. So again, you don't give up on yourself. And a second way of looking at right effort is you don't give up on others. Now that is a tall order. There are a lot of people out there right now that I would really like to give up on. And in difficult moments, of course, I do. Like, no, cannot find a way to make space for you in my heart and mind. That's not an indication of wrong effort. Wrong effort would be, so F you forever, you're out, you're not human. When we can't make space for others in our mind and hearts, which doesn't mean liking them, it just means remembering that they are human and we are in this together. I try to do what I can to recover a sense of open-heartedness. When it comes to us and them, there is no such thing. There's no such thing as them. There is only us. And quite often, as mentioned, it takes a lot of effort to remain within the view of us. We have to take care of each other. We have to speak up in the face of cruelty out of a sense of protection for us. And unfortunately, we're not allowed to cut anyone out of our hearts. Or when we do, we make the effort to embiggen our hearts somehow. This morning in the Open Heart Project, during our daily meditation, which happens live every day at 9 a.m. East Coast time, you're welcome to join if you want to become a Sangha member or a community member. It's really amazing. We get together and practice. And I give instruction on Mondays, and other wonderful teachers give instructions on the 6 other days of the week. Somebody asked for clarification on something she had read from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen master, who said, and I'm paraphrasing, when things are very upsetting, when things disturb you, enrage you, threaten to destroy you, look deeply at them. And she was curious, what could that mean? What does it mean to look deeply? That's a really good question. And of course, I can't speak for Thich Nhat Hanh, but what occurred to me was the instruction to look deeply could also be heard as feel deeply. Notice what you are experiencing not from a clinical distance, but from a warm sorrow or confusion. In other words, with warmth toward yourself, feel what you are experiencing, because the inability or unwillingness to do so closes your heart. When you close it to yourself, it closes to all things. Not sure who designed this, but that seems to be the way it works. So look deeply to recover vitality, to make effort. And what that means here is feel deeply. That's very brave. It is actually a very kind thing to do as you are able. So we don't want to rub our noses in things that are upsetting, but there are things we can't turn away from at the same time. And right effort, vitality, life force diminishes when we continually turn away from the contents of our own heart, as well placed as they may be. So again, here, the right effort is to find a way, even in the most difficult circumstances, to remember the view of compassion. And we're going to say it again, y'all. Doesn't mean being nice. Doesn't mean feeling kindly disposed toward. Doesn't mean liking anyone, letting them off the hook, or being all, sweetness and light. You can be a bodhisattva or awakened being as circumstances dictate. I remember once talking to my teacher, Tulku Tunduk Rinpoche, about something that was really upsetting to me. And it was a very, very big deal. However, I cannot right now remember what it was, but it was preventing me from practicing. It was invading my mind at every turn. I could not focus on one half of one breath. And I was telling him, what should I do about this situation? Because it's really interfering with my practice. And without missing a beat, what he said was, well, just think how much compassion you will have for anyone you meet in the future who is struggling with what you struggle with currently. So that was great because it encouraged me first to have compassion for myself, which is where we have to always begin, and then to realize that from this compassion for myself, from this looking deeply, from this being with, my capacity to be compassionate toward others would deepen. So that's a great formula for right effort. And the third lens I will mention, and all of this is made up by me, so don't forget that, the transformational lens kind of brings us back to where we started, to the commitment to never give up, to recognize that whatever circumstances you encounter, no matter how difficult, also contain the seeds of wisdom itself, are expressions of wakefulness. So please don't misunderstand me here. I don't mean anything like it's all good. That's complete bullshit. It's not all good. But when I become enraged, when I become ignorant of other people's needs, when I am filled with my own wish that reality was different, when I just work harder and harder in order to avoid my sorrows, or when I simply space out and collapse, interestingly, within those so-called neurotic expressions of being Susan Piver, or substitute your name as you will, are also forms of wisdom. Anger contains the seeds of wisdom. Pridefulness contains the seeds of wisdom. Grasping has seeds of wisdom. Needy effort has seeds of wisdom. And even spacing out has seeds of wisdom. These five are commented on in Tantric Buddhism as part of the five Buddha wisdoms or families. There are five primary sources of wisdom, and each one has its neurotic expression, but it is not separate from its exalted expression. It is the flip side of that coin. So briefly, anger, the first one, and I think we could probably all agree, the most deleterious one, the most difficult one, contains what is called mirror-like wisdom. Anger is clarifying. Anger is sharp. Anger is one-pointed. And when you use it to do harm, of course, you're really bad. But if you let go, even for a moment, of the story of why you're so angry, it's not easy to do, and I'm sure your reasons are quite well placed, but you see that you are in possession of fierceness, sharpness, clarity. That's why the enlightened expression of anger is called mirror-like wisdom. You can reflect perfectly what is happening. You can see clearly pridefulness or greed, like I need more, or I'm the fanciest, I'm the best, I need more credentials, better than you. Now, what's good about that? Pretty much nothing. But the wisdom here is called the wisdom of equality, because you spend so much time trying to get things for yourself and choosing degrees of value among possessions or people or experiences. You possess this ability to attune to value. And you could see, when you relax your grip on what you need, and trust me, I've very much got a huge grip on what I need, you see that all things have some form of richness. Don't take my word for that or anything, just a thought. When it comes to grasping or desirousness, the wisdom is called discriminating awareness wisdom. A little bit like greed, grasping is predicated on picking and choosing between the things that will make me feel better about myself, or that will give me happiness, or that will satisfy my desires. So because I'm picking and choosing so carefully between all the things to find what will satisfy me, I have this capacity nonetheless to see clearly, to discern between this shade of potential happiness for myself and that shade. So discriminating awareness wisdom is the flip side of desirousness. Now, when it comes to speedily working constantly to get away from your anxiety or to better yourself or to acquire what you think you need, and trust me, I hope you will acquire everything you think you need, the wisdom expression is called all-accomplishing wisdom. You're working really hard. But when it's limited to only what will make me feel less terrified or what will make me look good, both of which are important things to consider, you have this life force for doing. So contained in the seeds of speedy overwork is a talent for doing. In other words, all accomplishing wisdom. Now, what is the wisdom in spaciness? So that one seems pretty numb and dull. Like, where's the wisdom here? I just want to go to sleep or watch 100 million K-dramas. That's my hiding place. I love K-dramas. Well, that's not so good, to just give up and space out. However, the wisdom here is called all-accommodating wisdom. So the flip side of spaciness is spaciousness. You have some sense of bigness of mind and heart. You can flow from experience to experience. You can see this I like, this I don't like, and keep going. You can be very spacious and accommodating. And that is the seed of wisdom that plants itself quite deeply sometimes in the mud, spaciness. So right effort here, you could say, would be to pay a lot of attention to your inner world and see when you're angry, can I find mirror-like wisdom? When you're breathing, can I find the wisdom of equality, i.e. the richness that is ever present? When you feel riddled with longings, can you find the potency of discriminating awareness, seeing with a fine-tooth comb? I know that's a mixed metaphor. You can't see with a comb, but I think you get what I mean. When you feel anxious and speedy, can you also discover your capacity for accomplishing, for doing, for getting things done to make your dreams real. You can do it. And when you just want to give up and space out, can you also feel within yourself your capacity for spaciousness, for accommodation? This perhaps may be the biggest expression we have of great compassion. We see on good days that we can accommodate. And when we can't, y'all, you can accommodate your inability to accommodate. So to summarize briefly, right effort has its roots, plants itself in your everyday life through the way you organize it and prioritize things and feel held by your world. And maybe your world is a world or your neighborhood, or maybe it's your room, or maybe it's your journaling. You feel most held when you are expressing yourself. Maybe it's through love. But do you construct your life around the things that are most important? That gives energy. A second view of right effort could mean never giving up on other people, no matter how effing insane they seem. Doesn't mean we invite them over, but we remain connected to a sense of shared humanity. Sometimes that's the best we can do. Just theoretically, I know you're human, but I can't really feel the humanity. Okay, we'll stay with my theory. That also gives energy. The more we shut down to others, the more fearful we are, and the smaller our world becomes, the less energy we have. And finally, can we work with our inner experiences of difficulty? Can we look deeply into them? Can we feel what is uncomfortable or devastating even? Can we stay without giving up? Now, it doesn't mean if you have trauma or you're deeply grieving or you're super enraged that you should go, oh, Buddhist lady said I should stay with this. No, you've got to take care of yourself. A big part of right effort is conserving energy, knowing when to take your shot, knowing when to speak, knowing when to hold back, knowing when to cry, knowing when to distract yourself. So be kind to yourself, please. So our next episode will be about the penultimate step on the Noble Eightfold Path, right mindfulness. So this week for our podcast after party, I'm going to share a song. It's very short. That gives me so much joy, as does every song written by this person. His name is Stephen Spencer, Stephen with a PH. You could go to Instagram and find him. I love him. I'm not alone. He has a kid. I think his kid is 3 years old. And she apparently tells him stories. And he listens very carefully. And then he writes songs with her stories as lyrics. And there's something, charming doesn't quite cut it. Deeply reassuring about human beings when you listen to these songs. I love them. They go through my head all the time. And the one I'm going to play for you today is called Regular Rabbit. There was one just regular rabbit. He had ponytails just like me. That's the beginning lyric of the song. So please enjoy listening to Regular Rabbit. If you're like me, you might cry at the sweetness. And please go to his Instagram too. I don't know him, by the way, so I'm just saying. Because there are videos of him playing these songs. He plays every part, he sings every part, and he does it with great presence. So please enjoy One Just Regular Rabbit.
There was one just regular rabbit. She had regular ponytails just like me. Her regular name was just Pippa Tory Fripp. Just a regular name. She wearing one regular shirt, so regular, with regular letters that said R-B-B-D-B. What does that spell, Daddy? No, that spells rabbit.